Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing today? How are you doing? It is Thursday, August the 15th. Wow, summer is getting close to being over, and I don't like that. But welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the channel. If you're watching over on Unfiltered, the second channel, welcome in over there. I think this may be one of the last lives that we do where they're like combined, and I'm going to start doing just other content on the Unfiltered channel. So, yes, I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be something new and fun and fresh, and we're just going to talk about a little bit of everything. So, if you're not subscribed over there, I will drop the link throughout the live so you guys can go over and subscribe if you'd like to. But I'd like to welcome everybody in. I know that there's some people streaming right now, so I'm glad that you guys came in to hang out with me. I appreciate it so much. I really do. I saw Sandollar was in here. I like that name. That's cute. DM's in here. Hey, DM. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Jackie. Welcome in. Hey, Subby. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, Ashley Higgins. Seeing you doing during the day again. Wow. You're usually always so busy, it seems like. You're a busy girl. But thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Hey, Ashley, how many months have you been a member? I need to make another. I'm going to make another arm, a couple more. So I need to figure out where everybody's at on the members scale. But we'll go ahead and we'll get into the live. You guys should see the studio right now. I have animals everywhere. I have the dogs are behind me in their beds, and then they're sleeping. They're being good finally, and they were fighting over the same bed earlier. And then the cat is on the desk, just like chilling next to me. He never does this. I don't know why he's doing it today, but I guess he decided he wanted to. Yes, damn, I saw that they were arresting people with about Matthew Perry's death. I had no idea that they'd actually arrest anybody, you know? I didn't really have faith that they would arrest anybody. But I'm glad that they did. I'm very glad. I'm so glad that they did. This needs to happen more often when there's deaths like this, you know? People getting stuff that they don't want or you know, just getting stuff in general that they shouldn't have or need. His assistant, oh man. I bet his father is like going nuts. Keith Morrison is his dad, the Dateline guy, the older Dateline man. Like, yeah, I didn't even know that until Matthew Perry died. I was like, what? I was like, Keith Morrison's your dad? I was like, I didn't even have no idea. No idea. Now he's looking out the window. My cat is. But I wanted to come on and talk about the Delphi case. Today we're going to, I wanted to read through the probable cause affidavit for Richard Allen just to give a better view of the investigation and the evidence they collected in the case. We have read through this before. When it came out, we read through it. But a lot of you are new to the channel and the case. I'm pretty sure the day that we read this affidavit, I read it like 3 different times because I read it on like a pre-recorded, on a live, to myself, and then somewhere else, I think even. But we're going to read it again because I always feel like when we read stuff, we find something new. And then maybe it'll help, you know, it'll help people that have a better understanding, you know, of why they arrested him. So after we go through this, I'm going to play this special that came out on Court TV that goes over Richard Allen's arrest. It has some good interviews in there, and it's going to give us like a better understanding of why the police, you know, arrested Richard Allen for the murders of Abby Williams and Liberty German. And then on the next Delphi live that we cover, I want to cover the crime scene and get into that. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Pull this up here. This is, I mean, it's not too long, which is, I mean, it's not a very long affidavit, but it's not like Idaho or anything, which is good. I'm not going to read the stuff up here. This is just like the officer, you know, giving his, just saying this is why we want to arrest him. This is my background, stuff like that. So I don't know if you just heard him, but he jumped down. He's so fat. He jumped down off the desk. It made it like a big thump. So on February 14th, and let me know if you guys have like read through this before or seen this, because a lot of people haven't. There's a lot of people that are new to the channel. That's why I figured we'd read through it. Oh, wait, someone said Charlie Sheen's ex. Wow, damn. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Oh, wow. Okay. That on February 14th, 2017, Victim 1 and Victim 2 were found deceased in the woods approximately 0.2 miles northeast of the Monon High Bridge in Carroll County. Their bodies were located on the north side of Deer Creek. Oh, just to let you know too, I might have a surprise for you guys, a surprise panel guest coming on for about the Sebastian Rogers case. So be on the lookout for that. At the time, the Monon High Bridge Trail was an approximately 1 mile gravel trail terminating at the Monon High Bridge. And yeah, I wanted to, on the next live, I'm going to show you. Gray Hughes did a video where somebody went to Delphi or something for him. His video is super shaky. Mine isn't. I don't know why mine's not as shaky. I guess because I had like maybe I had a stand with me or like, something to hold on to. But I want to show you how it went from gravel and now it's like paved now. Like it's completely different there now than when the girls were there. Approximately 0.7 miles northwest on the trail from the northwestern edge of the Monon High Bridge is the Freedom Bridge. And I'm going to show you that. I'll show you that in the next video, which is a pedestrian bridge spanning State Highway 25. Approximately 350 feet west of the Freedom Bridge was a former railroad overpass, Old State Route 25, also known as County Road 300 North. The trail terminates just west of the former railroad overpass. The majority of the trail is in a wooded area with a steep embankment on the south side of the trail. The entirety of the trail and the location of the girls' bodies are located in Carroll County, Indiana. Okay. Here, this gets a little better now. Through interviews, reviews of electronic records, and review of video at the Hoosier Harvest Store, investigators believe victim 1 and victim 2 were dropped off across from Mears Farm at 1:49 p.m. on February 13th, 2017 by Redacted, which we know, is Liberty's sister. The Mears Farm is located on the north side of County Road 300 North near an entrance to the trails. A video from victim 2's phone shows that at 2:13 p.m., victim 1 and victim 2 encountered a male subject on the southeast portion of the Monon High Bridge. The male ordered the guys down the hill. No witnesses saw them after this time. No outgoing communications were found on victim 2's phone after this time. Their bodies were discovered on February 14th, 2017. You know what? Next time we do a read through, I'm going to have like visuals for you guys. That would be a lot better. I'm going to do that for you. I just thought of it. Because I could always put stuff like, like a layover over the words. The video recovered from victim 2's phone shows victim 1 walking southeast on the Monon High Bridge while a male subject wearing a dark jacket and jeans walks behind her. As the male subject approaches victim 1 and victim 2, one of the victims mentions gun. Near the end of the video, a male is seen and heard telling the guys down the hill. The girls then began to proceed down the hill and the video ends. A still photograph taken from the video and the guys down the hill audio was subsequently released to the public to assist investigators in identifying the male. So it says that as soon as they went down the hill, the video ended. So unless she pressed it again, which that's like almost impossible, I would think, there might not be any more video than what we other than, the stuff on the bridge. Victim 1 and victim 2's death were ruled as homicides. Clothes were found in the Deer Creek belonging to victim 1 and victim 2 south of where their bodies were located. There was also a .40 caliber unspent round less than 2 feet away from victim 2's body between victim 1 and victim 2's bodies. The round was unspent and had extraction marks on it. So that means he cocked the gun or whatever you call it. You know what I mean? Like when you go back on the gun, right? For it to get extraction marks on it. You think it's Ron Logan, Brandon? I've been to that bridge. That bridge is scary as heck. It is. I mean, they are so much braver than me. I mean, I'll tell you that. Interviews were conducted with 3 juveniles, and they're redacted. They advised they were on the Monon High Bridge Trail on February 13th, 2017. They advised they were walking on the trail towards Freedom Bridge to go home when they encountered a male walking from Freedom Bridge towards the Monon High Bridge. And what like how we got there was like we parked across the highway and then we walked across the highway and then that's like Freedom Bridge right there. It's a huge bridge. It's like blue. And they have some sort of like um memorial there that you can like sit down and you can hang out if you want to, like right off of the bridge on the other side as you're going towards the Monon High Bridge. Um, It says here, they advised they were walking on the trail towards Freedom Bridge to go home and they encountered a male walking from Freedom Bridge towards the Monon High Bridge. Redacted described the male as kind of creepy and advised he was wearing like blue jeans and a like really light blue jacket and his hair was gray, maybe a little brown, and he did not really show his face. She advised the jacket was a duck canvas type jacket. Redacted advised she said hi to the male, but he just glared at them. She recalled him being in all black and had something covering his mouth. She described him as not very tall, but a bigger build. She said he was not bigger than 5'10". Redacted advised he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. She stated he had his hands in his pockets. Redacted showed investigators photographs she took on her phone while she was on the trail that day. The photographs included a photo of the Monon High Bridge taken at 12:43 p.m. and another one taken at 1:26 p.m. of the bench east of the Freedom Bridge. Redacted advised after she took the photo of the bench, they started walking back towards Freedom Bridge. She advised that when they encountered the man who matched the description of the photograph taken from victim two's video, Redacted described the man she encountered on the trail as wearing a blue or black windbreaker jacket. She advised the jacket had a collar and he had his hood up from the clothing underneath his jacket. She advised he was wearing baggy jeans and he was taller than her. She advised her head came up to approximately his shoulders. She advised Redacted said hi to the man and he said nothing back. She stated he was walking with a purpose, like he knew where he was going. She stated he had his hands in his pockets and kept his head down. She advised she did not get a good look at his face, but believed him to be a white male. The girls advised after encountering the male, they continued their walk across Freedom Bridge and the old railroad bridge over Old State Road 25. Investigators spoke with Redacted, who advised she was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. Video from the Hoosier Harvest Store captured Redacted vehicle traveling eastbound at 1:46 p.m. towards the entrance across from the Mears farm. He's actually, Ashley, he got arrested. Oh my gosh. That's too much. That's just too much. I'm like, okay, that's too much. We can't do that. Yeah, no, I just timed him out. I was like, okay, that's just too much. Too many times you said that. I can't, yeah. We don't know. I don't think it was Ron Logan. I mean, I think it was Richard Allen. I mean, personally, I don't, to me, it looks like him. When like the video that we get, that little snippet that we do get, and the first composite. I'm still wondering about the second composite. I'm still looking at it. I mean, the eyes and stuff look the same as the first composite. I don't know. Like they say, merge them together, and that's like the, the suspect. So, but yeah, it is confusing though when they come out with two different two different sketches and stuff like that within a couple years. So it says she was traveling eastbound at 1:46 p.m. towards the entrance across from Mears farm. Redacted advised she saw 4 juvenile females walking on the bridge over Old State Route 25 as she was driving underneath on her way to park. Now I'm wondering why Richard Allen didn't mess with the juvenile girls. I'm assuming it's because of their location and they were out in the open. Redacted advised there were no other cars parked across from the Mears farm when she parked. She advised she walked to the Monon High Bridge and observed a male matching the one from victim two's video. She described the male she saw as a white male wearing blue jeans and a blue jean jacket. The jacket is just like throwing me off too. Everybody's is saying a different jacket. She advised she was standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge, approximately 50 feet from her. She advised she turned around at the bridge and continued her walk. She advised approximately halfway between the bridge and the parking area across from Mears Farm, she passed two girls walking towards Monon High Bridge. She advised she believed the girls were victim 1 and victim 2. Video from the Hoosier Harvest Store shows at 1:49 p.m. a white car matching vehicle traveling away from the entrance across from Mears Farm. Redacted advised she finished her walk and saw no other adults other than the male on the bridge. Her vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvest Store video at 2:14 p.m. leaving westbound from the trails. Redacted advised when she was leaving, she noted a vehicle was parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Service building. She said it was not odd for vehicles to be parked there, but she noticed it was odd because of the manner it was parked, backed in near the building. Investigators received a tip from Redacted in which he stated he was on his way to Delphi on State Route 25 around 2:10 p.m. on February 13th, 2017. He observed a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV-type vehicle parked on the south side of the old CPS building. He stated it appears as though it was backed in as to conceal the license plate of the vehicle. Redacted both drew diagrams of where they saw the vehicle parked, and their diagrams generally matched as to the area the vehicle was parked and the manner it was parked. Redacted advised he remembers seeing a smaller, dark-colored car parked at the old CPS building. He described it as possibly being a smart car. Redacted vehicle is seen leaving at 2:28 p.m. on the Hoosier Harvest Store video. Investigators spoke with Redacted, who stated she was traveling east on 300 North on February 13th, 2022, and observed a male subject walking west on the north side of 300 North away from the Monon High Bridge. Redacted advised the male subject was wearing a blue-colored jacket and blue jeans and was muddy and bloody. Okay, why didn't you call the police right then and there, honey? Like, what? She further stated it appeared he had gotten into a fight. Investigators were able to determine from watching the video from the Hoosier Harvest Store that Redacted was traveling on CR 300 North at approximately 3:57 p.m. Like, I mean, really, why didn't she call that in if she saw somebody muddy and bloody? I mean, even if it was like you thought he had just gotten in a fight. Hey, Isabel. Hey, Pooh Bear. Welcome in, everyone. When I'm reading, I can't see people. I can't see anybody. Thank you guys all for being here. I do appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me read this. We're halfway through. Through interviews, electronic data, photographs, and video from the Hoosier Harvest Store, investigators determined that there were other people on the trail that day after 2:13 p.m. These people were interviewed, and none of these individuals encountered the male subject referenced above, witnessed by the juvenile girls, Redacted and Redacted. Further, none of those individuals witnessed victim 1 and victim 2. That's probably what Richard Allen said. Investigators reviewing prior tips encountered a tip narrative from an officer who interviewed Richard M. Allen in 2017. That narrative stated, Mr. Allen was on the trail between 1330 hours and 1530 hours. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. He noted one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. So he's the trail that I would like to, when I went there, the trail that I walked is the same trail that he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trailhead. However, he did not pay attention to them. He did not take any photos or video. That's his cell phone information, potential follow-up information. Who were the 3 girls walking in the area of the Freedom Bridge? Investigators believe Mr. Allen was referring to the former Child Protective Service building, as there was not a Farm Bureau building in the area, nor had there been. Investigators believe the females he saw included the redacted females due to the time they were leaving the trail, the time he reported getting to the trail, and the descriptions of the 3 females gave. Investigators discovered Richard Allen owned 2 vehicles in 2017, a 2016 black Ford Focus and a 2016 gray Ford 500. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Allen's 2016 Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:27 p.m. traveling westbound on CR 300 North in front of the Hoosier Harvest Store, which coincided with his statement that he arrived around 1:30 p.m. at the trails. Investigators noted witnesses described the vehicle parked at the former Child Protective Service building as a PT Cruiser, small SUV, or smart car. Investigators believe those descriptions are similar in nature to the 2016 Ford Focus. On October 13, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised he was on the trails on February 13, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trail east of the Freedom Bridge and that he went to the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen further stated he went out onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform of the bridge. He stated then he walked back, sat on a bench on the trail, and then left. He stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. He told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. He further claimed he saw no one else except for the juvenile girls he saw east of the Freedom Bridge. He told investigators he owns firearms and they are at his home. Richard M. Allen's wife, Kathy Allen, also spoke to investigators. She confirmed that Richard did have guns and knives at the residence. She also stated that Richard still owns a blue Carhartt jacket. Like, he kept the crap that he was wearing and he kept the gun. Like, I mean, come on now. That's cockiness, you know? Like, truly. The 60 plus confessions I know, right? I can't get past that either. On October 13th, 2022, investigators executed a search warrant of Richard Allen's residence at 1967 North Whiteman Drive, Delphi, Carroll County, Indiana. Among other items, officers located jackets, boots, knives, and firearms, including a Sig Sauer model P226 40 caliber pistol and with serial number U625627. Between October 14th, 2022 and October 19th, 2022, the Indiana State Police Laboratory performed an analysis on Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory performed a physical examination and a classification of the firearm, functions test, barrel and overall length measurement, test firing, ammunition component characterization, microscopic comparison, and NIBIN. The laboratory determined that the unspent round located within 2 feet of victim 2's body had been cycled through Richard M. Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory remarked, an identification opinion is reached when the evidence exhibits an agreement of class characteristics and a sufficient agreement of individual marks. Sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random striated and pressed marks on evidence by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns or surface contours. The interpretation of identification is subjective in nature and based on relevant scientific research and the reporting examiner's training and experience. Investigators then ran the firearm and found the firearm was purchased by Richard Allen in 2001. Richard Allen voluntarily came to the Indiana State Police Post on October 26, 2022. He spoke with investigators and stated he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer model P226 firearm. When asked about the unspent bullet, he did not have an explanation on how the bullet was found between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2. He had again admitted he was on the trail, but denied knowing victim 1 or victim 2 and denied any involvement in their murders. Carroll County Sheriff's Department detective, been redacted, has been part of the investigation since it started in 2017. He has had an opportunity to review and examine evidence gathered in this investigation. The detective, along with other investigators, believe the evidence gathered shows that Richard Allen is the male subject seen on the video from victim 2's phone who forced the victims down the hill. Further, that the victims were forced down the hill by Richard Allen and led to the location where they were murdered. Through the statements and photographs of the juveniles, females, and the statement of redacted and redacted were at the southeast edge of the trail at 12:43 p.m. east of Freedom Bridge at 1:26 p.m. and walked across the former railroad overpass over Old State Route 25 after 1:26 p.m. but before 1:46 p.m. They walked the entirety of the trail and observed only one person, an adult male. Redacted vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvestor video at 1:46 p.m. leaving at 2:14 p.m. and she stated she only saw one adult male. The redacted teens described the male in similar manners, wearing similar clothing, leading investigators to believe all four saw the same male individual. Investigators believe the male observed by the teens is the same male depicted in the video from victim two's phone due to the description of the male by the four females matching the male in the video. Furthermore, victim two's phone was taken at 2:13 p.m. and redacted saw only one male while she was on the trail from approximately 1:46 p.m. to 2:14 p.m. Investigators believe Richard Allen was the male seen by redacted and the male seen in victim two's video. Richard Allen told investigators he was on the trail from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. that day. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store shows a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle passing at 1:27 p.m. towards the former CPS building. The clothing he told investigators he was wearing matched the clothing of the male in victim two's video and the clothing descriptions provided by the redacted teens. A vehicle matching the description of his 2016 Ford Focus is seen at or around 2:10 p.m., 2:14 p.m., and 2:28 p.m. at the former CPS building. Through his own admissions, Richard Allen walked the trails and eventually hiked to the Monon High Bridge and walked out onto the Monon High Bridge. The male subject matching Richard Allen's description had not been seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. Investigators identified other individuals on the trails or CR 30 north between 2:30 p.m. and 4:11 p.m. None of those individuals saw a male subject matching the description of Richard Allen on the trail. Furthermore, Richard Allen stated he only saw 3 girls on the trail who investigators believed to be the redacted girls. Investigators believe Richard Allen was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. because he was in the woods with victim 1 and victim 2. An unspent .40 caliber round between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2 was forensically determined to have been cycled through Richard Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The Sig Sauer model P226 was found at Richard Allen's residence and he admitted to owning it. Investigators were able to determine that he had owned it since 2001. Richard Allen stated he had not been on that property where the unspent round was found, and he did not know the property owner and that he had no explanation as to why a round cycle through his firearm would be at that location. Furthermore, he stated he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer model P226. Investigators believe that after the victims were murdered, Richard Allen returned to his vehicle by walking down CR 300 North. Investigators believed he was seen by redacted walking back to his vehicle on CR 30 North, which with clothes that were muddy and bloody. Redacted, along with investigators, believe the statements made by the witness because the statements corroborate the timeline of the death of the 2 victims as well as coincide with the admissions made by Richard Allen. Furthermore, the accounts relayed by redacted and redacted are similar in nature, and the timestamps on photographs taken by redacted correspond to the times the juvenile females said they were on the trail and saw the male individual. So that is the end of the affidavit. Wow, that was a lot. So yeah, that's a lot. But I just don't get the jackets. Why are the jackets kind of different? Like, the first person they were like, yeah, I saw someone with a, blue Carhartt looking jacket. And it's like, oh, that's real good. And then other people were saying he was wearing all black, like, maybe it was just misidentification. I mean, you really could do that. While we were there, I was trying to just look around and observe like my surroundings and stuff and like see who was all on the trail. And there were 2 gentlemen on the trail, like separately. They were like by themselves, solo. We saw one and then 10 minutes later we saw the other one. But there really wasn't a whole lot of people on the trail. There really wasn't. And it was September, so it was pretty nice, pretty nice day. But I wanted to show you guys this. This came out 3 months ago, so it hasn't been too long. It goes over the case. It has some really good interviews in here with some people. I forget the guy's name, but his dad was the one that worked with John Wayne Gacy. But he's on here, and they just go over Richard Allen, the court case, and what happened that day to Abby and Libby. So I'm going to play this, and we'll kind of pause and stuff as we go. And yeah, Isabel, eyewitnesses aren't really reliable. Well, I mean, someone asked me, I wouldn't know. Like if someone asked me what I wore yesterday, I couldn't tell you guys. I forget. I genuinely forget. I can go back to my video. So if you ever see me wearing the same thing like a couple days later, it's because I do laundry that much. Don't worry, it's clean. I just don't know what I'm doing whenever it comes to knowing what I wear when I wear it. But thank you guys all for being here today. I really do. I do appreciate it. I'm going to play this for you guys. We'll probably pause it here and there, do commentary. But let me know what you think of everything that's going on in this case in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you guys for being here again. Please hit the like button if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel, all those things.
Missing juvenile. Having Joyce Williams.
Getting scared now. It's getting cold.
Liberty Rose Lynn German.
Missing, abducted, we don't know for sure.
Last seen at the High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana.
Delphi is just not one of those places where any of us ever thought that something like this would happen.
Despite that video, despite that audio, nothing happens, seemingly, for 6 years.
The judge did find probable cause for arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it?
No, they got the wrong guy. There's no way.
There are
Don't take JLR's job.
other people
What was that,
who were
JLR?
looked at for this.
Shame on you!
It's some sort of a
Pretty sure that is JLR.
religious sect/cult
Shame on you, Richard!
that follow Odinism.
Shame on you, Richard Allen!
I believe they sacrificed a girl and killed another one.
And law enforcement insists no one's ever been cleared.
Baldwin, can you provide any comment?
Journalism. It's time for you guys to start being journalists.
I loved when he said that, even though he's Richard Allen's attorney. I don't know. It was powerful. Like, that day was powerful. I will say that. Journalist, time to be journalist. Ooh.
Delphi is a small.
I can't wait for Brian Kohlberger's case. I want him to yell at Brian if he gets the chance, which I don't know. How was he not in Monroe, Pennsylvania? I think it's because everything was so secret.
Town.
He's yelled at so many different cases. JLR's yelled at so many different people, like Alec Murdaugh, Buster, Delphi. I know there's more. I know there's a lot. I know there's a couple more. That's his like stick thing.
The downtown is 2 blocks. It has a main street, literally a main street, old courthouse, wonderful restaurants called the Stonehouse Grill, which has amazing breakfasts. And it just has that regular America, small town cliche, almost flavor and feel.
Downtown is surrounded by lots of fields, corn and soybean, and lots of farmland.
The historic Trails of Delphi is a popular spot in town for people to go to. It's a little bit outside of town. It's just a beautiful place filled with trees. You could hear nature. You could hear the birds chirping. It's a very serene place.
I live pretty close to the trails. Dropping your kids off at the trails was just something that you did. It was just what kids did.
And just off the trail, there's an abandoned railroad bridge, the Monon High Bridge, 63 feet above Deer Creek.
The Monon High Bridge is not that serene. It's this old, rickety bridge, or it was at the time, right? The rail ties are falling apart. It's, you could look down, take a couple steps and look down and see a 100-foot drop below you.
I mean, it was a very high bridge. The name definitely applies. I grew up
It's scary.
watching people post on their Snapchat stories, like going to the bridge to like read a book or things like that, and they'd have their feet like swinging over the edge.
Look at that.
My name is Cynth Rossi, and I was best friends with Abby and Libby. I first met Abby when we were in preschool together. I spent my entire childhood basically at her grandparents' home. We just loved being little girls and just sitting on my bed, reading magazines, playing with makeup. She loved playing dress up. That was one of our favorite things to do together. I first met Libby when we were in classes together in elementary school. She just had such like a spunky personality. She was constantly saying the funniest things I've ever heard in my entire life. I've seen this picture a lot. It was during one of her swim meets. She loved swimming and how much she was such an active kid. She seemed to never run out of energy. She was constantly going. The picture that I'm often cropped out of. So this was our solo and ensemble competition with the song Home on the Range that we could not agree how to play. And Abby's actually wearing a...
That's funny. They cropped her out because I remember like this picture whenever I want to use it, like, poor Libby, like her arm, it's like, I don't know. It's just like straight down like the picture is, and it makes her arm look a little weird. Like, you know, like, and so I always have to flip the picture. Oh,
a dress.
Look how different that girl looks.
That my mom had gotten her for Christmas. I'll never forget that day, February 13th. It was around 2 p.m. I saw the picture of Abby on the bridge on their Snapchat stories, and I immediately just knew that something was wrong. Taken by liberty, it should have just been them being kids on a day off from school, but unfortunately turned into a lot more.
Central case, 2 missing juveniles. Liberty Rose Lynn German, last seen at the High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana, approximately 1300 hours. Second juvenile, Abigail Joyce Williams. Subject was last seen wearing a gray zip up sweatshirt and a red shirt with a red shirt under it and jeans.
On the afternoon of February 13th, 2017, Abby and Libby were dropped off at the trails that lead to the Monon High Bridge. They were supposed to be picked up by Libby's father at 3 p.m. They never turned up. The search started around 5:30.
Well, upset, confused, obviously very distraught. Just worried. All I want to do is have the girls get home safe. Missing, abducted, we don't know for sure. There's a cell phone tower, but the ping was last noted about 5 or 6 hours ago. They say the phone's now dead.
I remember seeing this as it was happening on the news. I remember this so much.
Spread quickly that
like
help was needed, that these girls needed to be found.
They had this everywhere that was close to Delphi. I don't even know how it reached us, but it was on like Columbus News.
Hundreds of people turned out and searched through the night. Becky Patty, Libby's grandmother, would say that you could see flashlights everywhere, like stars in the sky, like fireflies. It was a full town effort.
Ravines, ditches, trash cans for phones, any sign of the girls.
I was like, I think one of them just like fell off the bridge and maybe broke their leg, and then the other one went down to help them and maybe they got hurt.
All options were on the table. Did they run away? Did they go to a party? Did they fall off the bridge? Did they get injured? No one had any idea what had happened to them, but the official search was halted that night and picked up the next morning.
The next day I went to school and it was just gloomy.
Hundreds of people showed up, searching all over the place. Hope was high, and then the word came.
I learned that Abby and Libby had been found when I saw everybody in the hallway just crying. No one said the exact words to me. And we just sat on our phones and watched the news headlines start to come in.
We have found 2 bodies about a mile east of town. We are investigating this as a crime scene. We suspect foul play.
They didn't identify them as Abby and Libby, but everyone knew.
I knew it was them. I wasn't in a position to hear it. I just was truly traumatized. Like my body was just in fight or flight. I didn't know exactly what all foul play entailed, but when my mom started to tell me someone hurt them and someone wanted them to die, for me, it was so difficult to process. news stations started showing up to my house. I couldn't enter my home without someone asking, what happened? Do you have any information? And I'm just trying to process the fact that my two best friends were just murdered, let alone trying to balance a media presence at 13. Like, it was so terrifying.
Basically, we have identified the bodies of the two females that were found out yesterday. Abigail J. Williams, 13, of the Delphi area, and Liberty Rose Lynn German, 14, of the Delphi area. Family has been notified. This is considered a double homicide investigation.
Yeah, I had known that Abby and Libby were active on some kind of sites where you could meet new people. And part of me thought that that might have something to do with it, that maybe they had met someone online.
We have nobody in custody at this time.
The next day, police released a picture of a man on the bridge. He appears to be wearing a blue coat, blue pants, and boots. They don't say where this picture comes from, but they do say that they are looking for this person and they want to talk to him.
When I first saw that image, I just wanted to solve it immediately. I was flipping through every single person I'd ever seen in my entire life who might walk like that, who might appear like that. And the first thing that I noticed when I saw it was the pockets, that they were filled, that there was something along like the waist area. And to me, I just immediately was like, that's either a knife set or a gun.
At this point, no one knows where this picture had come from, so speculation was rampant. Was he caught on a trail cam? And if they had that image, what else did they have? This picture had actually come from Libby's phone. She had captured that image. Not only that, she had also captured his voice.
And for the first time, we hear that this man is the prime suspect in the murders of Abby and Libby.
Finding out that Libby had recorded him, I felt proud of her.
And then in July of 2017, police release a composite sketch. They say that the man they're looking for in the sketch is between 5'6" and 5'10", weighs between 180 and 220 pounds, and has reddish brown hair.
I couldn't think of anyone that I thought looked like that. But then again, I thought of everyone who looked like that. Like, he just looked like every other guy I'd ever seen in this town. I couldn't place anyone specific to the sketch, and that was frustrating.
Who was this person? Was he a trucker passing through? Could he have been a drifter? Was he a serial killer? This is really when the people in town started to pay attention and start to look around.
I've done numerous interviews with police officers, FBI, investigators, and they all, I mean, when you get asked, do you have any answers? You just want to have an answer, but I didn't.
And then 2 years into the investigation, a whole new direction.
To the killer, who may be in this room, we believe you are hiding in plain sight. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you, and you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
A couple of new things come out of that presser. They add one word to the audio from Libby's phone.
They also released this much younger sketch saying that he could be as young as 16 at the time of the murders.
I thought to myself, oh my gosh, they have no clue who did it. And I was like, if they don't know, if the age range is from 16 to 40, like, I was like, do they know anything about him? Do they have anything at all? I was hopeless. And that to me was my worst fear, that they wouldn't end up arresting anyone. And they would just become another case.
Despite both of those faces, despite that video, despite that audio, despite the fact that Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter said, this person probably lives here. He's probably a neighbor of yours. No arrests are made for 6 years.
Coming up.
I am proud to report to you that an arrest has been made.
I think everyone's first reaction was, who?
Well, here we are, guys, on Ron Logan's property. Steer Creek. The Monon High Bridge is over that way. And over here is where the bodies were.
This case has been going on for a long time, and a lot of names have come up over those years as potential people who could have been involved in this crime, and none of them have been cleared. Ron Logan was one of the first people that police took an interest in for many reasons. One, yes, the girls' bodies were found on his property. That's going to raise questions. But also, he was out there on TV early doing interviews, giving tours of the crime scene, telling people where he was and when.
Who would have thought they let their children out to do something special that day, take a trip down, and it turn out a disaster like this?
Within weeks of the murders, there were 2 search warrants executed at Ron Logan's property. The first one was just looking for guns, and they found 156. The second search was directly related to the murders. Ron Logan gave me a copy of the probable cause that was used to get that second search warrant for the search of his property. And in it, the FBI writes that they believe he is responsible for the murders.
There are a couple key pieces of the Ron Logan probable cause affidavit. Perhaps the most compelling part of it is that he constructed an alibi for a crime that had not yet been discovered.
He lied about when he left his house to go buy tropical fish. He had a suspended license. He shouldn't have been driving at all.
Detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz. The fictitious Anthony Schatz profile used images of a known male model and portrayed himself as being extremely wealthy and owning numerous sports cars. The creator of the fictitious profile used this information while communicating with juvenile females to solicit nude images.
We know that Libby was at least...
This is sad that she fell for that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, she's so smart. You know she was. She took that video and everything. I mean, oh my, but she just saw that picture and she said, that boy is adorable.
Friends on social media with the Anthony Schatz profile, and that he at least liked or commented on some of her posts. Kegan Klein from Peru, Indiana, about 40 minutes away, admitted he created that fake profile. And I spoke to him from jail.
Are you aware whether you may have talked to Libby on the 13th?
That's what they said. That's what the police told me.
That you did?
Yeah.
And do you have any recollection of that?
No, not at all.
Did you have anything to do with the murders of Abby or Libby?
Not at all. And I gave up my DNA, a hair follicle test. I've done everything they wanted me to.
In October of 2022, surprisingly, we got word that there was an arrest.
What? You know, disbelief. Like, okay, I'm hearing this, but it's a process.
Like the rest of national media, I showed up to watch that press conference to announce the arrest, not knowing what to expect.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation.
We expected to be excited and happy and like overjoyed that he's arrested, but now we're dealing with understanding that there's a lot of reopening wounds that's coming with that.
My name's Dan Simitovich. I'm the producer and co-host of Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders podcast. My first reaction, I think everyone's first reaction was, who? We had no idea who this was.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it? Shame on you!
My name is Nicholas McClellan. I'm the Carroll County prosecutor. Mr. Allen has had his initial hearing. He's entered a preliminary plea of not guilty, and he is in custody. He's being held currently without bond.
Here comes a guy that has never, ever been announced. He was nobody's radar. It was like, where did this guy come from?
Richard Matthew Allen was 50 years old, had no criminal history, and worked as a farm tech over at the local CVS in Delphi.
I was surprised because he seemed like a real nice guy and everything, waiting on us in the drive-thru and everything.
I had not interacted with him, but everyone knew who he was. I mean, he worked there for so long. And when I found out who it was, I never in a million years thought that it would have been him. Not someone so integral to
Hold on a second.
the community.
Okay, hold on just a second here. Okay, this is where I get confused with Richard Allen. She just said she saw Richard Allen and he helped them through the drive-thru, right? Drive-thru. Drive-thru is for the pharmacy only. Every CVS, their drive-thru is pharmacy only. I've never seen a CVS where you can drive up and grab it and get a purchase. Like, hey, give me a Dr. Pepper. You know what I mean? So that would mean he was a pharmacy tech because you have to work in the pharmacy to be behind the counter at the pharmacy. So how would he be printing out pictures for the girls and for the, you know, I mean, they said people were saying that he had printed out pictures for the girls' funeral and didn't charge them for them. How would he be doing that job? That's abnormal. A pharmacy tech is not going to be in the regular CVS. It's almost like a different store in a way. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like this, the pharmacy is there inside the store, but it's its own little world, if you would. So now, which one is he? Was he a pharmacy tech or did he work in the photos? And she's confused. That lady's confused. Your pharmacy does both, Isabel? Well, you're from Scotland too, but no, I don't think over here we do. I don't think they do. Anyway, I don't think they do. I think it's just pharmacy only back there. Like, that'd be crazy to let other employees just dilly-dally back there. I mean, you got medications. I don't know. Oh yeah, Ashley. These animals that sidebar, my animals, the money that we spent for them, like I told Vince, I was like, just for them to go to the bathroom, like look at the money that we spend for like cat litter, because we go to Sam's and get stuff. And I was like, and dog bags and like wipes and like all the things, you know what I mean, that you need for your animals. I'm like, just for them to go to the bathroom. I'm like, what the heck? Let alone feeding them. Vincent gets the best of the best for them. He spoils them.
And to the Delphi experience.
Richard Allen has been married to Kathy for 30 years. They have one daughter.
Do they?
Allen was raised in Mexico, Indiana, about 40 miles from Delphi.
Thank you, Badger Witness.
Mexico is a very small town, smaller than Delphi, with a population of about 1,200 people.
Yeah.
That's where Ricky Allen lived, over there in that yellow house, early on. I think when he first got married, they moved in there, if I remember right. Very, very nice, very respectable young man. I mean, always has been.
Yeah, my name is David Yoder, and I knew Ricky his entire life.
He is a very loyal dog.
He's a quiet he's very polite, always has been respectful to me. He'll go out of his way to say hi, just to say hello to me. Very friendly, sociable. I really can't speak highly enough about the man. I just can't believe that he did this. I don't believe it for a minute.
People who have talked to who shopped at the CVS and dealt with Richard Allen described him as friendly. In fact, after the murders, Libby's aunt went in there to have some pictures printed for Libby's memorial. She said Richard Allen helped her, and at the time, she thought he was helpful and kind.
I just wanted to ask him Why would you do something like that?
Okay, so maybe it was like one of those things where he was just like walking in the store and he helped her. You know, she needed help and he helped because maybe he saw and he recognized.
Why would you take such
For
two
baby mama, it does
innocent
cost a lot. They're
people
worth it.
from this world? Why? What was your motive? What did you want to do? What were your intentions? Did you know all along that that's what you were going to do?
But we still didn't know why he had been arrested. And they said in that press conference that everything about that was still under seal.
This is really important. While I know you are all expecting final details today concerning this arrest, today is not that day.
It's very unusual for what happened.
That speech was so powerful that he did. I was crying through the whole thing. And here's Julie. I like this. I like Julie Grant.
And in this case to happen. And especially a case of this magnitude, which is why. That's the reason why. When a case is so high profile, a case that's gone cold for so many years, and there are obviously things that for some good reason, we as members of the public just shouldn't be privy to. Prosecutor Nicholas McLeland also said there could be other actors involved in this crime.
Where are those people? Where's that second person? Why haven't we heard anything about it?
Then Sheriff Tobe Lesenby of Carroll County asked the court to move Richard Allen out of the Carroll County Jail, saying they couldn't ensure his safety. So the judge agrees, signs off on that, and sends him to the Department of Corrections. And then the judge immediately steps down from the case.
And what happens is he's moved without a judge who had recused himself, claiming that the bloodlust of the case was just too much for him to handle, and he didn't think that he'd be able to sit on it.
Allen is moved to the Westville Maximum Security Prison. That's pretty unusual because usually suspects are held at the county jail.
With Allen in prison without defense attorneys and now no judge on the case, the Indiana Supreme Court steps in and they appoint Special Judge Francis Gall, who's from Allen County, about 2 hours away.
Coming up, Richard Allen has a message for the judge.
He writes a letter to Judge Gull, throwing himself on the mercy of the court.
Richard Allen is in custody without bond after being charged with the murders of best friends Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
So in November of 2022, we finally hear from Richard Allen. He writes a handwritten letter, gives it to Judge Gull, throwing himself on the mercy of the court, asking for help paying for his defense.
Allen had originally, when he made his first appearance, had told the judge that he was going to try to get private counsel. I don't think realizing how much a case like this would cost in terms of hiring private counsel.
Carroll County is too small to have its own public defenders. So Judge Fran Gull, she appoints 2 private attorneys, Brad Rosie and Andrew Baldwin.
Both of these guys have vast experience. I mean, collectively, they've been trying cases for 50 years, both very experienced trial lawyers.
His new defense attorneys, Baldwin and Rosie, immediately release a statement saying he is not guilty. He has nothing to hide. He is 100% innocent.
We also learn more about why Richard Allen was arrested in the first place when the probable cause affidavit is released to the public.
That is what the public is going to be basing their initial opinion as to innocence or guilt on.
We learn that the evidence shows that Abby and Libby are dropped off at the trails at 1:49 p.m. And we already knew that Libby's video recording that man on the bridge happened at 2:13, just 24 minutes later.
We learn that the video has one of the girls saying the word gun. We also find out about some physical evidence. An unspent, unfired .40 caliber round is found in between the bodies.
They then were had examined by a Indiana State Trooper who had some training with tool markings. He gave a subjective opinion that he thought that the gun that they recovered in Richard Allen's home pursuant to the search was a match.
To me, the most damaging piece of evidence that the state of Indiana has against Richard Allen is the unspent round that cycled through his gun, found just 2 feet away from Libby German.
He's either the unluckiest guy in the world, or he was there at the scene when those two girls were murdered.
The probable cause reveals at least 4 witnesses. 3 teenage girls and 1 adult woman saw someone generally matching the description of the person in Libby's video between 1:26 p.m. and 2:13 p.m., the time that Abby and Libby were encountering that man on the bridge.
And one of those witnesses is seen on surveillance video arriving around 1:46 p.m. And she says she parked her car and then walked out to the bridge where she saw a man standing on the bridge about 50 feet away. She didn't walk onto the bridge. She turned around and walked back in the direction she came. And when she did that, she passed 2 young girls who were walking towards the bridge. And she believes that was Abby and Libby.
Another witness says that she was driving north of the trails that day, and about 2 hours after the abduction, she saw a man in a blue jacket walking in the opposite direction, quote, muddy and bloody.
Just before Richard Allen was arrested in October of 2022, he met with
I still don't know why she didn't call someone then.
investigators again after they had resurfaced his name. And he said, yes, I was there. I was wearing a blue jacket. I was wearing a blue pants. I may have been wearing a hat.
One of the other most damaging pieces of evidence came from Richard Allen in him admitting to being on the trail that day. Think about it. He's admitting to being there from 1:30 until 3:30. And he claims he went there to watch the fish. So how unlucky is this guy that he admits to being present, and his window encompasses the window of time that investigators believe those beautiful girls were murdered?
About 8 months after his arrest, a slew of documents are released. And that's when we find out that Richard Allen has confessed.
His confessions are going to be a major problem for this defense team. We need to have more than that whenever we have a criminal case. A confession alone is not enough. So the state is mounting this case with other pieces of evidence that corroborate what he's admitting to. We haven't heard the confessions yet. We're just aware that prosecutors have alerted the court to the fact that he has made admissions, made them to his wife by way of a jail phone call, and that they plan to introduce that evidence.
So everything we've been hearing up to this point is the theory of the case from the prosecution, from law enforcement. And then via filings, we start to hear from the defense. And the details that they lay out are like nothing we could possibly have imagined.
Today, like I said, unexpected, out of left field, 130 pages worth of information in just one of the filings that was released. They are pointing the finger in a very specific direction as to who's responsible for this, and it's not Richard Allen. It's some sort of a religious sect/cult that follow Odinism. And it was a sacrifice. Wow.
When that thing dropped, as a defense attorney, it blew my mind. I had never seen a filing like that.
My name is Mark Pitcavage. I'm a senior research fellow with the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism. The defense argument that Odinism was involved in the murder is largely based on the idea that there were Norse pagan symbols left at the scene of the crime in the form of sticks or branches or blood patterns. And it's not clear to me that any such symbols were actually left at the scene in the first place. Odinism is one of the branches of white supremacy. There are a number of different types of white supremacy, and it's derived from a religion that is, the easiest way to put it is modern Norse paganism. Modern Norse paganism is the revival of some of the old Scandinavian myths and religious beliefs centered around the ancient Norse gods like Odin and Thor and Freya. Most modern Norse pagans are not racist, they're not white supremacists. The religion as a whole is innocuous, but this one part of it is not so innocuous. It's much more problematic. So at the Center on Extremism, we try and track extremism in a lot of different ways. One of the things that we started doing in 2008 was to track extremist-related murders, where we created a database to track domestic extremist-related murders. Because those allegations were raised, we have been tracking the progress of the case to see if any of them are ever at some point substantiated with evidence. If, and that's a big if, any of the allegations were actually substantiated, then we would certainly add it to our database at that point.
The defense says this theory of the crime was never fully explored by law enforcement and that men they've identified as potential suspects were cleared too easily.
And after making those bombshell claims, the defense is off the case.
Coming up, graphic crime scene photos make their way to YouTube.
Pictures like that are just going to incite and enrage people, and they are going to blame the person that's under arrest.
In October of 2023, word gets out that crime scene photos have leaked, apparently from the office of Baldwin. And what it turns out had happened was that someone who was in his office had taken pictures of the evidence and shared them.
That would be the defense.
Thankfully, these things didn't make it out to the public en masse. For number one, for the families, like the nightmare of them getting online one day and opening up a picture of their daughter is like beyond words. The other thing is you worry about is if they get out, it destroys Rick Allen's opportunity to have a fair trial. It just does, because pictures like that are just going to incite and enrage people, and they're going to blame the person that's under arrest.
Defense attorney Andrew Baldwin says he's essentially the victim of a theft, but the judge is furious, and she accuses the defense team of being incompetent and negligent.
We've had an unexpected turn of events.
Well, he let his buddy in the office with all the crime scene photos and walked out of the office, left him there, left him alone. Not smart.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Baldwin made an oral motion to withdraw. I granted that oral motion to withdraw, and Mr. Rosie will be submitting a written motion to withdraw, I'm assuming within the next couple of days.
With Baldwin and Rosie off the case, Richard Allen still needs a defense. So Judge Gull appoints 2 attorneys from her home county of Allen County.
She picks Allen County's chief public defender, William Libredo, and Robert Scremin. But that's not the last that we hear of Rosie and Baldwin. They say they were coerced into leaving the case, and they fight to get back on.
So that issue goes to the Indiana Supreme Court, who quickly rule that the original defense team should have never been removed.
79 days after they were appointed, Libredo and Scremin are off the case, and Rosie and Baldwin are back.
I was asked to do a job. I did my job. I was then told 2 gentlemen are going to take over. It is what it is. My name's William Libredo. I am now Richard Allen's former lead counsel. I don't think Mr. Allen had anything to do with this.
You're a defense attorney, so that's your job to sort of say your client is innocent.
And rarely do I believe it. But in this particular case, I believe it 100%.
And what convinced you?
Conversations with him, the fact that he lived in this very small community that's not much bigger than a high school. He worked at the CVS in Delphi. The police sketches are hung up in the CVS. The bridge guy picture is in the CVS. And in 5.5 years, no one comes into that store and says that kind of looks like you. I don't know if this has any relevance, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but an arrest was made 27 days before a sheriff election.
How would you characterize the case as you know it against Richard Allen?
Well, it's obviously circumstantial. I haven't seen any direct evidence that, other than he admitted that he was on the bridge that day, and we think during the same time frame as the girls were.
There's technically both direct evidence and circumstantial evidence. For example, his confession, that's direct evidence. Witnesses, eyewitnesses seeing him, that'd be direct evidence.
Eyewitness testimony, inherently unreliable in my opinion. They all saw the same person, and you have that many different descriptions. That's a problem.
Rosie and Baldwin, in a filing, claimed the descriptions attributed to witnesses in the probable cause affidavit are wrong.
So remember the witness who said that she walked out to the bridge and saw a man standing on it, and then she passed what she believes were Abby and Libby as she was walking back to her car? Well, the defense says that the state left out that woman's description of the man she saw. She described a young man, possibly in his 20s, clean shaven with a boyish look.
That description is actually what led to the second sketch, which was made in February of 2017, but not released until April of 2019.
And the witness who saw a man walking on the road, both muddy and bloody, actually just saw a man who was muddy, according to the defense.
Richard Allen's 5'4". So when you're talking about the witness statements, okay, and none of them, that would have been the first descriptive thing that I would have said is that he's really short. Not one of them said that he was a really short guy. And that would have been, like, to me, the first descriptor, and it just didn't happen.
Bradley, Rosie, and Andrew Baldwin also said there's no electronic evidence linking him to the crime scene or the girls, and that there's no DNA of his at the scene. Is that accurate?
Yes, as far as I can tell, yes. Nothing forensically other than this bullet that they claim that they found, that they shot through a barrel, that there's no way to compare the markings a bullet projectile shell casing would have fired through a barrel compared to ejection marks. And it was, to my knowledge, about 2 inches underground.
What do you think is the biggest piece of evidence in this case?
There's an alleged confession. That's it to me.
You had not heard of Odinism when it first was floated with regard to this case?
I honestly thought it was hocus pocus. I honestly didn't, I'd never heard of it. And the more I got into it, that's a real thing. It is a real thing, and it's scary. I believe they sacrificed a girl and killed another one.
In addition to pointing the finger at several men who allegedly practice Odinism, the defense says that several of the prison guards in charge of Richard Allen were wearing Odinism patches on their uniform.
You described one of those officers that's mentioned in one of Rosie and Baldwin's filings, Sergeant Jones, who was wearing patches that said, "In Odin we trust," on his Department of Corrections uniform. The judge ordered the warden to make them stop. And then what did you notice?
That Mr. Jones had it tattooed under his right eye. From the best we can tell, it looks a lot like Odin's spear.
Both sets of Richard Allen's defense attorneys have raised issues about what they call harsh conditions behind bars. Rosie and Baldwin also allege that Richard Allen's family was threatened if he didn't confess.
There's no ties to this Odinistic cult whatsoever. He didn't even know that there was Odinist in Delphi. He had never heard of it.
Up next, did Abby and Libby's killer have help?
One of the major things hanging out there right now about this story is the fact that there are likely other people involved in this crime.
Hopefully justice for Abby and Libby will mean some closure for their family members. I always say you never get complete closure in a homicide case because there is a void left in your heart that can never ever be filled. But some bit of closure, some bit of justice and peace, knowing that the right person has been held responsible and can't hurt anyone ever again. All that being said, The state of Indiana has mounted quite a case to prove that Richard Allen is that person.
I see a rose in bloom at the sight of you, oh so priceless.
So this was a song that actually played at her funeral. And just the way that it describes, I see you dressed in white, every wrong made right, or it really makes me think of Abby as angelic. I feel connected to her. It just really makes me think that she's an angel by my side rather than the things that she went through and how she died. There are a lot of things that make me think of her. I got this tattoo of butterflies on my arm, and that was just a huge part of her. She loved butterflies. I think what is important is talking about who they were while they were living. And that's what's most important to me. I really want to make sure that people know that they were good people and that their lives are constantly part of everyone who knew them's lives. True justice would be that there would be no need for justice at all, that it never would have happened, that they never would have been taken from us, that they never would have been treated in that way. For me, there's a piece that really never will reach justice.
One of the major things hanging out there right now about this story is the fact that there are likely other people involved in this crime. Prosecutor Nick McClelland said that himself, there could be other actors involved. Former Sheriff Tobe Lesenby saying under oath that he believes it would have taken at least 2 people to commit this crime.
And you just have to hope that law enforcement is up to the task, because they're putting all their cards on the table with Rick Allen at this point, you know. But we still have that thing, don't we, sitting there saying we think that there were more involved. So we have to hope that they're continuing to investigate it.
It's using all this back and forth and debate about this case. Who did it? Who didn't do it? Who might have done it? It's easy to lose the victims, Abby and Libby. I learned early on and throughout that these girls were the absolute lights in the lives of those who loved them. Abby and Libby were loved. Justice in this case is going to mean different things to different people. I'm not going to presume to define that for those who love them. My definition is a little more traditional. It's arresting and punishing the person or people responsible for this, whoever that may be and however long that takes.
They switched it. Okay. Oh, let me get myself back up here in the right spot. But that was pretty good. I watched most of that, but I didn't get to watch the ending of that one. But I was thinking towards the end, these girls, if it wasn't for them, unfortunately being unalived, they may have never gotten Keegan Kline for the child, stuff that he was doing. He's been sentenced to 43 years. They wouldn't have put Ron Logan in jail. For the probation violation that he had, just things like that. Now it's their turn, it's their turn to get their justice. So I really hope that they do get it. Trial starts in October. Hopefully we'll see what happens. I mean, they said it's supposed to start no matter what, but, I do have a guest coming on the show on Saturday. So that's going to be, pretty good and different and interesting. We don't usually have, people on our channel, but I reached out to Stephen Crabtree. I thought that he'd be a good guest to have on here just to get his point of view of the Sebastian Rogers case, everything that he's kind of went through with dealing with Tony and Seth and just everything, just, overall, how, like, his point of view, just, his point of view. I thought it would be pretty interesting to do that. So he said that he looked at the channel. He saw the channel. He likes the channel. He said he'd come on the channel. So we're going to do that on Saturday. So if you guys want to come in, ask some questions, you can do that. Oh, someone just beeped their horn. But that's all I have for you, I think. Yeah, Saturday Night Live for real. We're going to have, we'll have someone on. It'll be interesting because we don't really have guests on. I don't think we've had a guest on our channel in like a year or something. It's been a long time. It's been a really long time, hasn't it? Y'all been listening to just me for this long? Man. Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's always nice to have somebody on, and I really value his point of view because he's been out there searching and he's put up with some stuff, and I couldn't deal with Tony in real life. Could you imagine that real life Tony? Oh my gosh. You think it was? I think there might be more to this case. I mean, but you would think investigators would have a little knowledge, but I mean, it took them 5, 6 years just to get Alan. But I think that, we'll just see how the trial goes. If the trial goes and that's all they arrest and that's who it is, I mean, I have faith that they did their job, but hopefully they do their job well. And Aries has been a member for 3 months. Look at that. I love that. But thank you guys all for being here today. I do appreciate it. Vince is going to be home any minute, so I'm going to jump off here before he opens the door and the dogs go nuts. And Mia just woke up. Hey, Mia, did you have a good nap? I ask them that all the time. My dogs probably think I'm weird. But thank you guys all for being here today. I really appreciate it. We're almost to our watch hours over on the other channel, and I'm so excited about it. It's so exciting. And then I'm going to start going live over there, just there, at least once a week, and then we'll pick up immediately, maybe twice a week. But I don't want to overdo myself. But thank you guys all for being here today. I do appreciate it. I'll see you guys tonight. We're going to start, I think we're going to cover a new case. There is a lady that's been missing. I watched this episode of Nancy Grace just as I was cooking dinner last night, and I've been thinking about her. And then today I saw that, I think JLR maybe, or somebody was covering it. And I was like, man, he's covering it too. And I'm like, so I think we're going to cover that tonight. So it'll be a new case tonight. Hopefully I'll see you guys all there at 9:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll make the thumbnail here soon. I'll also make the thumbnail for Saturday Night Live's thumbnail here soon as well. So thank you guys all for coming tonight. I will see you guys all today, this afternoon. I'm used to tonight. And I'll see you guys all later this evening. Bye, guys.